Welcome back. This video is going to highlight two more builds that we've sort of been thinking about, and basically they're pulling off from our previous video, which you can find right here. I'm getting better at this. It's right here. And you can actually go check that out if you want to get a better sense of what those builds look like. But basically the theme here has been we're sort of building this village, and we're continuously expanding and adding a build or two at a time. You can also find some speed builds related to those as well. Those are going to be likely done at this stage, so you can go find those as well as part of our sort of Terraria themed channel. So guys, with that out of the way, obviously you can find me every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch, where we'll be doing these builds live. So feel free to pop in, say hi, or just enjoy the show, or give some suggestions, or build something yourself. Really up to you, but hopefully we see you there. Yeah, let's just dive right into these builds, guys, and hopefully you guys enjoy them. As always, feel free to leave a comment down below if there's anything you'd like to see, any comments you have about how maybe we could tweak it, or maybe some techniques that I'm not using that I should be using, because like I said, I'm trying to get better, and yeah, hopefully you guys get inspired, and let's just dive right in. Alright guys, so of course, we got to start with our little floating chest of materials. So for this build, again, feels pretty extensive. Now I added some things that I don't always use, but that's for a very good reason, and that reason is we decided to build sort of this indoor greenhouse. Where it's a little off to the side, but it's still something kind of important, like a gardening center, but without being a gardening center. A little bit run down, but not falling apart. So you'll see the theme as I kind of explain a bit more, but really these are all the materials, guys. Feel free to pause the video here if you want to take an eye at each thing. If you have any questions about anything, if I'm not highlighting it or whatnot, just let me know. I can happily explain exactly what the material is. So let's go check out the build. All right, guys, so here's our build. Now you'll immediately, if you've seen the previous video, you'll immediately see that we carried over our roof technique. Now, I like this roof technique. I think it looks kind of interesting now. The only real change I made to this, and it's very subtle, is I kind of, instead of connecting this down in the corner, I actually made the sort of stone wall come up on an angle, and it just kind of gives it a different look. Now, again, roofing is not my strong suit, but I think it's getting better, so I'm happy with that. The other thing I'm starting to like to do a little bit is these kind of struts that hold up the sort of foundation of the building. It's just, I mean, really, this is really simple to make. Some people will look at this and think it's something unique. It's literally just mahogany fence, I believe, in the background, painted gray, and then we put two stone bricks there to make it look like kind of like, I don't know, more robust. The same over here as well. Now again, you'll see here we use those logic gates to make this stove again. I think here we use a different stove. I don't know if this is a bone. I think it's maybe bone. I can't remember, but you can use, and like I said, you can use any stove and it looks good. And then I do a bowl on it as well that's just painted. All this is all painted black, and you can obviously see that it kind of looks like a skillet if we use our imagination a little bit. Now, obviously the really cool part here, in my opinion, is the fact that we've sort of made this indoor greenhouse. Now, the idea and the thinking when I was building this was it's going to be kind of run down without being completely dilapidated. What's interesting was just how, this came about, which was basically, I was like, oh, I want a greenhouse. And I started, making this design, but then I was like, well, I want to keep the village design. So I was like, why don't I make it indoors? So that let me keep the design elements of the actual framing of the building. And obviously what we did was use a lot of different wood and made it look run down. So you'll see little bits of spooky wood to break it up, make it look like it's a bit sort of fallen apart a little bit. Again, not dilapidated, but a bit run down. And then we just really added our vertical columns here with, again, spooky wood wall to give it that sort of beat up effect. Some mahogany wall going across the background. It just breaks it up, and we just try to space things out. And then what we did is we just obviously put our planter boxes down in sort of random arrangements. I could have planted actual seeds of things, but I actually wanted to look more overgrown and not growing anything specific. And then we left some benches, tools, and some plants, and a chest here just for fun. Now, you'll see again the staircase here, guys. This staircase is similar to what we did in our second build of our previous video. You'll notice it right away. It's very much the same, just going in a different direction. But the idea was, to add the rail in. Other than that, guys, the other part that I'm really quite happy with, other than this little underground piece, which I will talk about in a moment, is this roof here. This roof here, initially, this wasn't here. This was all straight, right? Very linear. And I realized, like, man, this looks very odd. Like, I just couldn't figure out what I didn't like about my build. I realized that this needed something. And so what I ended up doing was actually just adding this out, using the same very same roofing sort of technique here. And then there's this little outskirt added to it. Now, I think if on hindsight, what I would like to do here is actually add a hanging plant. You know, there's a couple of those hanging plants that look really good. I just think one here would look really nice. A tip for you guys, if you're ever building and you feel like there's something off, try just adding like little structure that hangs out. It doesn't have to be anything special. It can literally just be something that just like, you know, like this. This just hangs out. There's nothing here. You could add a bunch of detail if you wanted to, but it just adds to the like composition of your building and it makes it look a little bit different. With that, I think this one's pretty much taken care of. We're gonna move to our second build, and hopefully you guys, as always, if you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below about anything I might have done or things you might have changed differently, or how, you know, I made something look the way I made it look. You know, if I didn't explain it, I apologize, but yeah, let me know. All right, so we're at our second build of the day. Now, again, you will see a speed build will have either been released in advance of this video or will be coming up shortly, where you'll actually go through the process of building all these things. But for this build, guys, we were trying to do a tavern. These are the materials we use. Again, nothing mind-blowing in this. These are all pretty common materials. The only thing that's really distinct and new for me is the copper brick wall, which I don't use ever, I don't think. I use this time. There's a little bit of silly pink balloon. That's not that uncommon. I've used it before. And then some gem spark wall, which you'll automatically see where that is. Like, well, you'll be able to tell immediately. We use different paints as well. It's 2 different reds, but again, nothing crazy with this. This is really just for the roof. And then some shadow paint for, these are for the teleporters and stuff. So guys, feel free to pause the video here if you are looking at these materials. If you have any questions about what they are specifically, feel free to leave a comment below. I will get back to you. But again, these are nothing crazy here. You know, pretty standard stuff other than the ones I've highlighted, which again are the copper brick, the gem spark, and you could argue the silly pink balloon. So with that, let's go check out the build. All right, guys, so here we are. I'm just going to do a little walkthrough so you guys can see exactly what we've made, and then we'll just point out some specifics. You can see the full build in its entirety here, and we have it kind of overhanging, just basically on a bit of a cliff, and I really like the way it turned out. But to get into some more specifics of things that I really worked on that were a bit unique here, obviously the roofing. Didn't love the way the roofs turned out initially, but when I started to do this technique here and really open this up, this is where you see that copper wall that I was talking about, the copper brick wall, I believe. That is painted deep red, and we painted our dynasty shingles. We painted those red ones, we painted them deep red as well. And I actually like the way it turned out. And then we just kind of made these windows. And this is where the gem spark is the only place we used it. But it just kind of makes it look like you're looking into a different set of rooms that you can't see. We've also carried over our roof technique here with the sort of 2 layers of Evanstone brick and background wall. And then, yeah, just really like the way it sort of came together. And again, when I was making this build, guys, one of the things you got to realize is like all I knew was I wanted a tavern. In terms of knowing that I wanted a tavern, I knew I wanted a big kind of bar. And so this is really where I think this started. So this is really easy to make. Now it's a bit, I would love for it to be a bit lower, but the problem is that it's just, I thought it was too low. So it is that you can sort of sit here and it's roughly at your head level. We have 2 layers of our palm wood wall and these are just the little palm wood chairs. And then the bar, really, I like the way it turned out because I just did oriel wood and then I believe this is ebon wood wall, which is vertical, and we just alternated those. Put some platforms here. In this case, I believe steampunk platforms? I could be wrong. Could be steampunk platforms. I could be wrong, but it doesn't matter. Any platform you want. But the thing I'm really actually quite happy with about, other than these background walls, where we're using that blue tile or the green tiled wall, which has that angled piece, is actually these support beams. Because these support beams are actually, they look quite, they don't stand out that much, even though a lot of this is actuated. So the top are blocks. This is our mahogany wand, where we have the this is a living wood wand. And then this is our ebon wood, I believe. And we've actuated all that. And that actually fits really nicely into our spooky wood wall, which is a vertical piece. And so what's cool about it is like once you've painted it brown and actuated, it actually has the same kind of color as that spooky wood wall. And we kind of did the same technique that I've been using, like I said, with the framing each window. I like the way it looks. Now it looks a bit weird because this does not go all the way down. But I wanted to keep this room kind of, like it was kind of a hallway. Like there's not a lot in here. There doesn't need to be a lot in here. And I was actually okay with that. Over here, we wanted to make, I think we actually made this at the end of the build, a little bit of a cellar, just with some kegs. These are just ebonwood bathtubs, I believe, painted brown. You can make the cellar look a whole lot different, obviously, but I just wanted something small. And then obviously we did the stairs again, which now you're starting to see how these are starting to look a bit cleaner. This is the same technique again, fence, 2 sets of a fence of your choosing. I think this is mahogany fence on each side. We do our platforms, make our stairs, and then we just connect it up with a minecart rail. So I want to talk about the roofs real quick. The roofing to me, again, this took me a while to make. I didn't love it when I first had. And then what we really want to do is make it look a bit more organic. And so in doing that, I started to add a lot of our leaf, use our leaf wand to add that in and have it come through. Now, I could have extended this down, is one thing I probably would do if I were to come back and change things. I might add this so it actually connects into the stone and looks like it's dropping in. But again, you know, these are things that you might do in hindsight. I just think it turned out really well. Same with this. This is the same. Like, this was kind of a boring roof till we added that. You could have maybe connected all this if you wanted to. And then over here, of course, same mechanic. So the last thing you'll see here, or well, last thing at least for this section, is again, we have our Krampus wallpaper, but this time it's painted gray. So it doesn't stand out quite as much as if it were the normal color or white. And I did this for the sections here around the doors, which I thought actually looked pretty good now that it's kind of covered up. That's a technique I may use a bit more, or use a plant or something just to cover up some of it so it doesn't stand out as much. So you can kind of see it looks like a door, but it's busy, it's got stuff going on around it, and I like the way it turned out. Guys, I hope you guys are enjoying these builds and enjoying this series. I'm really enjoying kind of doing a walkthrough and, you know, sort of highlighting some of the techniques or the builds I'm doing. Obviously showing off a little bit of the things that I've been working on, because it's always fun to do that and to get people a little bit inspired, obviously, to do their own builds. So that'll do it for this build, guys, and yeah, that's it. All right, guys, so that'll do it for episode 9. Yes, episode 9 of our World Tour series. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the builds as much as I am in terms of, well, actually making the builds and doing the content. But guys, as always, if you have any questions or any comments, or if I missed something or anything, please leave a comment down below. I will get back to you. And with that out of the way, guys, as always, thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. We will see you in the next video.